Hey guys, welcome back to Science Meets Literature. This is Portsmouth Public Library's video series where we're going to show you some really cool experiments and explain the science behind them. So today we're doing something that might not sound like an experiment at first. We're making bath bombs, but really there's science behind everything. So we're going to show you how to make a bath bomb, and then we're going to explain the science behind how it works. Okay, so bath bombs are pretty simple. There are tons of different recipes. You can add all different kinds of things into it, glitters and scents and colors. We're going to do a pretty basic one here just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so you'll need three things if you want this to work at the bare bones level. Okay, first you're going to get a half a cup of cornstarch. You're going to get a cup of baking soda. And we're going to get a half cup of citric acid. Now, citric acid might sound scary. Really, it's just those, if you've ever eaten like Sour Patch Kids, what gives those that sour flavor is citric acid. So please don't just dump this in your mouth. It will be extremely sour, and this much concentrated can burn your tongue. All right, so we'll add that in as well. And we're going to explain what each of these ingredients is going to do when we set this off. Okay, so you want to mix this together just to kind of get all of the powders sort of dispersed. And you'll notice that the cornstarch kind of clumps up, and you want to kind of just break that up as much as you can and really dig from the bottom, bring it to the top, and get it as separated as possible. And here. All right. Next, what we need to do is we need to add liquid. And this part can be a little tricky because really what we're doing is sort of setting off the bath bomb when we add the liquid to it. But we have to add enough liquid for it to stick together. You almost want to think of this like sand. When you add the liquid, the sand can start to stick together, and that's what we're looking for. Add just a few drops or maybe just a spoonful at a time, because you can add more, but you can't take it out. So start with a little bit and then gradually build up until it kind of sticks together, and it's almost like wet sand, like I said. And you can even use your hands for this. I mean, this is not one of those experiments where if this gets on your hands, it's gonna hurt you, because remember, you'll be putting this in your bath and then sitting in it. So no worries there. Now, another thing that I'll mention really quick is this is also the time where you want to add in any colors and scents. So here I have like a peppermint scent and a peppermint essential oil. You can just add a couple drops. This is to your preference. This can get really, really strong, really fast for some people. Other people use half a bottle and still can't smell it. So just add, again, a couple drops at a time until you're getting that scent that you're looking for. It's going to be similar with food coloring. Again, a few drops at a time until you get the color you're looking for. This takes time for you to work it in, so make sure that you add a couple drops and fully incorporate it before you add more, okay? I'll go ahead and add just a few drops here and we'll see where we're at. And now we get mixing. right, guys, so after a couple minutes of mixing, again, just adding a few drops at a time, we're left with a pretty uniform color to our mixture here. And I'm going to show you the sort of consistency you're looking for. I put gloves on just because I'm going to be handling this with my hands, and there is dye in there, so I can dye my hands. And also, it'll be kind of a better contrast. So I'm just going to show you that when I do kind of squeeze this, it will maintain its shape. And that is what we're looking for. If you can see that here, it's holding together. And that's what you need it to do. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to put it into a mold and press it and let it dry. Once it dries, we'll be able to remove it. It'll stay in this shape, and then you can put it in your bath. So let me show you really quick what one of those molds looks like. This is another thing you can order online. Another thing though, you don't have to use a mold. If you want to take a cookie cutter and fill it with this mixture and let it sit and dry, you can do that. You can even just shake it with your hands and let it dry. One of the benefits of the mold is it helps to pack it, and then you'll see that once it's packed and it dries that way, it helps it not to crumble when it's drying. Okay, so I don't know if I can even open this with my hands this way. There we go. Okay, so really this is just two halves of a sphere that can clip together like that. Okay, so all you're going to do is just take a lot of this mixture, and you're going to fill this, and you want to overfill it a little bit. And the reason is, when you press it together, it'll pack a little bit, and you don't want there to be a lot of empty space in here. Okay, so when you pack it pretty firm, and then fill it a little bit more than you think that you'll need. Just a little bit. Okay, so you pack one side, pack the other side. And as you can see, I made enough mixture here to make a few of these. Depending on how much you want to make, just pare it down. You can just start with, a fourth of this if you just want to make one or two. Okay? Once you have these packed individually, then you're going to bring them together, press all the way around, really make sure it's nice and secure, kind of dust off any that leaks out. And then you're left with the bath bomb in its mold. You want to leave this to sit and dry for at least 24 hours, up to 48 hours, depending on how wet you get your mixture. And you can always test it by just kind of trying to open it up. And if it starts to crumble or whatever, then let it sit for a little longer. Okay? All right, guys. So, what we're going to do now is we're just going to show you what happens when you take the bath bomb mixture, which is going to be the same thing that happens when you drop a bath bomb in. We'll show you what happens when you put that into water. And you see immediately we're getting that nice fizzing effect. I think we did a pretty good job there. I mean, you can see the amount of foam and fizz and color and everything. I mean, that's pretty good stuff. So let's explain what's happening here. All right, so like we said before, we used 3 main ingredients when we made our bath bomb, and that was baking soda, citric acid, and cornstarch. So why does it fizz? Well, it's a chemical reaction. So let me explain what I mean by that. What that means is these chemicals are going to mix together and form something new. So to understand that a little bit better, we need to look at what's happening sort of on a microscopic level. So if we look here, when baking soda reacts with water, you make this negatively charged compound. When the citric acid reacts with water, you get this one. This is positively charged. Opposites attract. These come together to form something new. In this case, one of the things that's formed is CO2. CO2 is a gas, and that gas is exactly what we're looking for. That gas is what is causing all these bubbles. All these bubbles not only fizz up your bath, but also release any scents into the air. So then why do we have cornstarch in here? Well, cornstarch just slows the whole process down. And the reason you don't want it to go too fast is these chemicals react very, very quickly. I mean, if we would just add this in with just citric acid and baking soda, it would fizz for a few seconds and then be done. The cornstarch makes this reaction happen slower. And I don't know if you can see, but we still have these bubbles forming. The foam is still growing. So instead of a bath bomb lasting a few seconds, we have bath bombs that last a few minutes, and more is better. So really, that's all the science behind it. Another thing that I'll mention really quick though is if you don't want to take the time to mix this together and form it into a mold, really you can just take the baking soda, the citric acid, and the cornstarch, mix those dry ingredients together in a bowl or jar, and just dump that in your bath. It'll work just the same. All right, guys, this has been Science Meets Literature. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.